I'm with LBL Strategies. I want to welcome all of you today. Many of you I know, others I do not know, but we want to just welcome you to the program, and we're going to start with some introductions. Next slide. There we go. So I've been doing this sort of work for a long time, particularly in the strategy management space. I'll tell you more about the journey, or Tamara and I'll tell you more about the journey of how we got here a little bit later, but I'm very pleased to have all of you here. My colleague in this venture is Tamara Fields Parson. Tamara, you want to introduce yourself?
Certainly. Thank you, Randy. My name is Tamara Fields Parsons. I've known Randy for about 5 years. We'll talk about that here in a moment. My background has been in quality and performance improvement. I've spent a lot of years, around 15, with the Baldrige organization in various roles, and I'm excited to be able to share with you what we've been working on and can now offer.
So what we'd like to do is invite you to briefly introduce yourselves, maybe turn your camera on, tell us the organization that you're with, what your role, and if you've already gone through the strategy management certification program, if you could mention kind of, when you completed the course. So I have a list here, and I'm just going to start at the top and call on you one by one, and if you could chime in, that would be good. So Deborah Sheets, how about you? Let's start with you.
Hi, I'm Deb Sheets. I am the VP for Organizational Effectiveness and the Compliance Officer for Tidal Health in Salisbury, Maryland. I'm also an examiner, and I'm just interested in moving my organization forward down the Baldrige path, and was looking for resources around how to do that and how to get people more engaged.
Okay, good. Well, welcome. Devraj, how about you?
Hi, this is Devraj. I'm from India, actually. I'm from the Tata Group. Okay, Tata Group, you may be knowing. We also follow Baldrige for last 30 years. We are following the Baldrige Performance Excellence Framework in India, as well as in our operations across the globe. I am looking forward to understand, the content around the, program, Champions program. We also have similar kind of, capability development program in our group, but just looking forward to understand, from Baldrige that what kind of content is there, and then trying to benchmark the content as well, and also our folks in US, how they can leverage this. Yeah. Thanks.
Good. Well, welcome. We're glad you're here. Doug, you want to say hello?
I will. Hello, everybody. Welcome. My name is Doug Maris with LBL Strategies, and I'm really, really excited for today. Appreciate all the hard work that Randall and Tamara have put into developing this program. This has been kind of on the front burner now for 6 months or so, and we're really excited to launch this, and excited all of you are interested and curious. So thank you.
Dwayne.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dwayne Hawkins. I am in Omaha, Nebraska, and I have a consulting business, DAH Consulting LLC. I'm also a local pastor, and I did the original course in strategy, maybe 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago or so. And last year I did the course in foresight, and looking forward to this one because I am new to Baldrige, and so I'm excited about learning and how I can implement that into my strategy work.
Thank you, Dwayne. John Fenstermaker.
Hi, all. I'm John Fenstermaker. I'm with Booz Allen Hamilton, retired military. Actually dealt with Malcolm Baldrige Award processes back. She was 94, 95, I want to say, around that time frame. And I'm want to kind of get caught up on what's going on with the Baldrige process. It all centers around enhancing quality, and you can't go wrong doing that. So looking forward to taking the class.
Okay, thank you, John. Here's somebody named Hannah Rollinson. I wonder who she is.
No fear, Randy. I am your daughter-in-law, and I am going to put my camera on. I am going to be taking over, actually presenting on this training. So I'm just here to observe right now. And hello, everyone. Nice to meet you.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thanks.
Okay, James.
Hi, I'm Jim Spengler. I'm with the Senate Productivity and Quality Award. We are a Baldrige-based award program that covers Virginia, DC, and Maryland, and I'm chair of the board.
Okay, well, thank you for coming, Jim. Jeff Cooper.
Good afternoon, Jeff Cooper. I too am a Booz Allen Hamilton employee supporting a DoD customer that's looking to establish a strategic management performance system. Recent graduate in completion of the SMPS Mastering Strategy course. Thank you, gents, for all of your hard work and effort. Very quality course. And I'm looking forward to delving more into this area as I seek to help my customers and clients.
Thank you, Jeff. Hi, Jackie Lavorgna.
Good afternoon. My name is Jackie Lavorgna. I am from Southern New Hampshire University, where I lead our planning work. And I completed the SMPS course back in 2019 and am a big fan of it.
Thank you, Jackie. Paul Dries.
Paul Dries. Yes.
I'm sorry.
I just saw this pop up on LinkedIn yesterday. I'm employed with Endeavor Management. I've served on state and national level a number of times since 2000. Glad to be here.
Thank you, Paul. Richard Faulkner. Okay, looks like we don't have Richard. I'm going to go on to Santosh.
Hi, Randall. This is Santosh with you. I'm a big fan of the SMPS program, practicing since last 6 to 7 years. Balanced scorecard specialist, and then from Kaplan and Norton from the Palladium. Then later on took your course SMPS from Informa. I'm based out in UAE. And we have a small management consulting firm where we help companies in manufacturing, built environment, and retail, and more of on efficiency and effectiveness. We use the SMPS model when we do, but the excellence models have been quite relevant in this market. So I would be more interested because EFQM or neither, the other models do not have anything on how to link exactly the strategy when we know actually as consultants. But I thought, hey, this is a much better, platform where when we're talking about Malcolm Baldrige with, the SMPS, which would give a lot of good insights.
Okay, thank you. Richard?
Apologies on that, everyone. Richard Faulkner with LBL Strategies here. I was muted. Go figure. It's good to see names and faces of people that I've crossed paths with in my coordination work for the Mastering Strategy program. And I am here today to also immerse myself and understand this new collaboration with the Baldrige Foundation. Thanks.
Thank you, Richard. And Stephanie.
Yes, thank you. My apologies for my tardiness. I'm Stephanie Mitchell. I work for Capital Farm Credits, and I'm the SVP of Strategic Operations.
Okay, Stephanie, nice to see you again. Okay, I think we're ready to move forward, Tamara.
Okay, so let's talk about what is a Baldrige Performance Excellence Champion. You probably have a pretty good idea just from the title of the program. But I want to give you a little bit of information about why this is an important role, why it's a necessary role, because many times in many organizations, there's projects galore. There's no shortage of projects. They vary in scope, certainly they vary in duration, and definitely vary in complexity. You know, one of the things I learned going through the SMPS course last year was, you know, strategy isn't a project. It's not a project, nor is excellence. And so that really got us started thinking about a formal role in a successful organization that is pursuing excellence. You know, most leaders, and certainly the strong and effective leaders, will support that excellence truly is everybody's responsibility. It's a common phrase that we hear around excellence, and I'm sure you've said it as well. I know that I have. Few organizations, however, have figured out how to enable everyone to grasp their role in excellence and actually operationalize it. And that is one of the basic motivations for designing the Performance Excellence Champion role. It's not unlike being a Performance Excellence Champion and being effective in an organization. It's actually requires for most individuals a change in mindset and a change in culture. And you're probably starting to hear some things that you also heard during the SMPS course. So there's going to be a lot more alignment with that as we go forward. With any significant endeavor, whether you're following Baldrige as your performance excellence model or another model, and there are some good ones out there, it's important to have a champion. Any type of significant endeavor or transformation of an organization, a champion's a key role. Having a very well-equipped and highly skilled champion can very well be the difference between a large-scale project that tends to start to take a back seat when something else needs to happen, and an approach that actually becomes part of the very fiber of the organization, and because of that produces long-lasting results. That's why we want to share with you some information about the Performance Excellence Champion. What they are not, I mentioned projects before, they're not a project manager. A Performance Excellence Champion certainly will manage projects and oversee projects and direct projects. It's an important skill to have. But this is different. At least it's been different in the years that I have served. Didn't have a name, Performance Excellence Champion, but I was very much the Performance Excellence Champion in a healthcare organization for close to 15 years. One of the things that we've definitely learned and realized that's resulted in this program and the Baldrige Foundation certification is that the Baldrige journey or performance excellence journey can't be guided by a checklist. Certainly, I'm a fan of checklists when they are necessary in order to ensure consistency and thoroughness, but this isn't a checklist. We're here as Performance Excellence Champion wannabes to wash off the dust of the ways that we have led our efforts in the past. It doesn't mean that they aren't useful and that they're not successful and effective, but to take things to the next level, what we want to do is harness all of the tools and skills and knowledge that we've learned in SMPS, enhance that with the knowledge of our own organization and performance excellence, and merge together that knowledge and the tool set in order to create the equipment or the toolbox, if you will, for Performance Excellence Champion. Now, what we won't be doing in the Performance Excellence Champion program is teaching Baldrige. I am always happy to talk about Baldrige. I recognize a couple different names in the introductions, people that I've actually interacted with in the past under the umbrella of Baldrige, but we won't be actually teaching Baldrige. We won't be teaching or sharing information around how to develop an award application for Baldrige. And this is not a shortened path or a shortcut, if you will, to get to Baldrige recognition. Now, certainly a successful performance excellence champion is going to help an organization if that is part of their endeavors. But this course is about sharing a sustainable approach to shepherd your organization, your key stakeholders through the journey to become a world-class organization. And we do that by integrating the disciplines of the strategic management performance system and the Baldrige performance excellence system. So I hope that that makes sense. I'm going to give you a little bit more information about that. So who should seek certification? Professionals and consultants that are seeking some recognizable Baldrige credentials. Nothing says Baldrige like Baldrige Foundation being the organization that actually bestows the certification upon successful completion of the program. Organizations that would be beginning their Baldrige journey so that they can learn these lessons and start out well equipped and save some time and reap the benefits, the better results, if you will, earlier in their journey. Other members in the Baldrige ecosystem or the performance excellence ecosystem. There are the Baldrige communities of excellence. You may be familiar with that. Local communities, local and state Baldrige programs, the National Center for Assisted Living, or NCAL, and then the American Healthcare Association. That's just mentioning just a few. Certainly leaders that are looking to align and integrate their organization to achieve tangible, measurable, quantifiable, and sustainable results. Leaders looking for a way to build resilience and sustainability. Those are really hot topics right now. And between SMPS and the Baldrige Performance Excellence Champion program, we have found a way to incorporate those and address those and build them in, bake them in, if you will, into your plan for your excellence journey. And then, of course, strategic planning and management professionals such as yourself who value a comprehensive approach to performance excellence. So what would a performance excellence champion be able to do? What are some of the things that you're going to be, what do we mean by well-equipped champion? The performance excellence champion would be able to, at the completion of this program, integrate strategy management and performance excellence systems so that they're not two different systems, two different plans, two different projects. They are the way the organization lives and breathes every day. They'll be able to embed performance excellence into their robust strategy management calendar. And I'm sure you recognize that terminology from your course. Expand performance excellence skill sets through personal coaching and feedback. Build resilience into your excellence or Baldrige journey. And then also incorporate best practices in benchmarking, best practices in engagement, in the work of an excellence champion, as well as your strategy, and in prioritization, because we're all learning, if we didn't know before, priorities shift. And they can shift quickly, and it can affect the work that you're doing as a champion. And then this one is bolded, the last one, because this is the one of the tangible things you will walk out of the Performance Excellence Champion program with. And that is you will develop and deploy a custom performance excellence plan for your organization. So throughout the course of the program, we will work on developing your custom plan. If we've got 10 people in the class, in the program, then there will be 10 different and unique plans. And then we will also practice that, vet it with your peers, and get personal coaching. So you're going to end up with the plan ready to go. So what does that plan look like? I'm pretty excited about this. The custom plan capitalizes on the knowledge and the skill sets and the tools from your toolkit from SMPS and merges all of that together to create your custom plan. So in particular, scenario planning, you'll recognize that from the SMPS program. The customer value proposition. There are various assessments in the toolkit. I just have the word assessment here because while there are 2 or 3 that we will use and everyone will be encouraged to use as they develop their custom plan, based on where your organization is, your organization's priorities, and your timeline, there are other assessments you'll want to incorporate. That's the customization arm, the strategy map from the SMPS toolkit, the communication plan from the SMPS toolkit, and the strategy management calendar that we've already shared. So we're going to talk about the format of the learning that's going to occur as we build this here in a moment. But it's from the learning in this course, the knowledge and skills development, as well as the toolkit that you're bringing into the course from SMPS, that you'll construct your custom plan. Throughout the course, You'll have opportunities to get peer feedback as well as the personal coaching. The personal coaching will come from me during the first couple courses, for the first couple programs. With that, I think it's important for us to revisit SMPS and the Baldrige Performance Excellence Champion and how that all came about and how we have been able to achieve integration of both systems. So I'll hand off to you, Randy.
Okay, well, thank you, Tamara. Anyone who does this sort of work, strategy related work, and we'll come to performance excellence in a moment, I think we could probably agree that these 6 phases are at work in any organization that seeks to have a systematic approach to leading and managing their organization. Let's go to the next slide. And those 6 phases didn't just land on us. We have done extensive work for, it's pushing 40 years now, studying the literature and the development of the discipline of strategy and strategy management. So those 6 phases I just showed you, we have learned from studying over time this timeline in order to flesh out the strategy management program. Next slide. So go ahead and build this out for me, if you would. These are the 15 tasks, one more click, that make up the Strategy Management Performance System program. This is a generic approach. One of the things I've heard over time about Baldrige is we're framework agnostic. It's not about the process. And I agree with that. So as we have defined the strategy management framework, any of the tools and techniques that were covered on the previous slide in terms of the history of strategy can be incorporated here. We take a very broad systematic approach that begins by assessing both the organization in terms of how we're going to organize, then moving into looking externally, internally, prioritizing where we want to focus, and then moving into formulating the direction and the actual strategy of the organization, followed by putting together both the near-term, the longer-term strategic plan, the near-term strategic operating plan. And I want to pause here at this next phase, strategy execution. One of the big changes that's occurred in our thinking and on our coursework has been around aligning the organization with its operating model. So we have brand new content related to transforming the organization, aligning the team, implementing the strategy, implementing the strategic plan, the strategic operating plan, and then lastly, followed by performance management. It's both measurement, learning, and ongoing management. And what holds this all together in the real world is engagement of stakeholders, keeping stakeholders actively involved and emphasizing the role of governing strategy. So that is kind of the foundational course, if you will, to lay the groundwork for moving into performance excellence.
So now I want to talk to you about the Baldrige Excellence Framework. And again, I recognize definitely a handful, if not more, folks from my own experience with Baldrige. So good to see you. Even if it's not Baldrige, I think about this all the time. I'm a fan of Baldrige. It is our nation's standard for excellence. So, it is developed and updated and managed by the National Institute for Standards and Technology, and it's under the umbrella of the Department of Commerce. So I'm not just using that phrase. It is our nation's standard for excellence. The Baldrige framework, as Randy mentioned, Baldrige doesn't go out and share best practices. What it does is create a set of key questions that any organization that desires to be excellent, desires to improve, desires to innovate, desires to stay on and live and be successful into the future should ask itself. to identify its priorities, areas of strength, areas of opportunity. The Baldrige framework doesn't tell you how to do any of those things, but it does provide the framework for excellence, a system for excellence, if you will. It does that, for those of you that aren't familiar with Baldrige, through a set of criteria to meet, and that is the non-prescriptive systems approach-based set of questions. And again, we won't be teaching Baldrige. There are a lot of organizations out there. There's one in every state that can help teach you Baldrige, but we will be incorporating the principles and referring to it as our preferred standard of excellence. Now, we're going to spend a lot of time in the course getting familiar with this. This is referred to as the Baldrige model. It also has some nicknames like the Baldrige puck and the Baldrige honeycomb. I'm going to keep my professionalism up and call it the Baldrige model. But we will be walking through this not only throughout our exercises and our skills activities, but also one of the key components of the Baldrige Performance Excellence Program is to help us train or retrain our thinking, our approach intellectually to performance excellence by thinking like a champion. That's the slogan that we've adopted. And you learn to think by a champion by actually mentally taking the path through this model. That's going to make more sense during the course. But I do want to share with you what we are referring to as the Baldrige Excellence Framework. It consists of criteria questions around customers. Who are your customers? What do they need and expect from you? What is your leadership structure? How do you create and sustain an environment for success? And I'm paraphrasing greatly. Strategy. What's your strategic planning, strategic management approach? How do you deploy your plans and resource them? What are your day-to-day operations, your key value creation and support processes? How do you design and improve those processes? How do you recruit, hire, and train and retain the workforce to own and manage those operations? How do you identify what you're going to measure? How you're going to do your analysis to identify your areas for improvement, to monitor your progress and your performance, as well as manage your knowledge in your organization? How do you share knowledge? How do you capture it? How do you identify your intellectual properties in your organization and make those available? And ultimately, how do you measure that success and demonstrate that through quantifiable results? That is your elevator speech of what the Baldrige model is, provided we had about 30 floors to travel in the elevator. But more on that during the program. To facilitate, and those of you that completed the SMPS course probably recognize this if it's been in the last few years. To facilitate the comprehension of the complementary nature of the two frameworks we just introduced, the SMPS and the Baldrige Excellence Framework, Randy and I worked to prepare a crosswalk between the two frameworks. It's definitely a document, it's definitely a tool, but that is just the very beginning. It's much, much more. What this crosswalk does is validates the robust integration of the strategic management performance system and the Baldrige criteria for performance excellence. Now, remember, the criteria is our nation standard for excellence. It's based on cutting edge practice. It doesn't tell us what the best practice is, but it does help us ask the right questions. We will be incorporating that into your existing knowledge and experience with SMPS. Randy, anything to add on the crosswalk before I go further?
You know, and we'll talk about the textbook in a little while, but I know this is hard to read, but you can see that there's a code that's in each of the cells there that relates back to one of the phases or tasks in strategy management. That crosswalk that goes to the standards themselves and the Baldrige Builder.
Excellent. And in the Strategy in 21st Century, second edition, we'll talk about that here in a minute, there are call outs in the margin of the book that actually point you to actually display the crosswalk for you as you're reading the textbook. More on that in a moment. Let's cover some important details about the certification program, things like our instructional objectives and what the course requirements will be. So here are our program requirements. You'll be familiar, I think most of you that have completed the SMPS course or program will be familiar with these program requirements. You must first complete, it's a prerequisite to successfully complete the Strategic Management Performance System certification program. Now, there are certifications available, as you can see in the bullets, including industry certification. The completion of the course is a prerequisite because I'm sure you can already tell the value of the course is founded on the tools and the knowledge that you would have gained through that program. Stage 2 is actually completing the Baldrige Performance Excellence Champion certification program. So once you've achieved stage 1 and completed the SMPS program, the 10-week program, then you qualify to participate in the Baldrige Performance Excellence Champion program. Now, 2 key components of that are to make sure that you have an organization to focus on throughout the Performance Excellence Champion program. It can be yours, and ideally it is, but if not, you can use another organization, and you will, via your custom plan that you'll be developing, present a final presentation of your custom plan that includes a set of recommendations and draft action plans that'll be presented to the leadership team at LBL Strategies, your colleagues in your cohort or pilot, and any other Baldrige stakeholders that might want to join us. For example, Josh Reset or Al Faber from the Baldrige Foundation have expressed interest in being there because their organization, of course, bestows the certification. So those are the requirements to actually qualify to be a Baldrige Performance Excellence Champion. I did mention, and this is just meant to be a diagram, really. I'm not expecting anyone to be able to read that, although if you can, I'm going to be very impressed. But I mentioned an organization to focus on throughout the Baldrige Performance Excellence Champion program. Those of you that are familiar with Baldrige already will recognize the terms organizational profile. For those of you that are not familiar, that is typically a 5-page narrative that answers some what or descriptive questions about an organization's environment. What are your strategic challenges? What are your main products and services? Who are your key customers and markets, things like that. So we're not requiring a 5-page narrative about an organization, but what is necessary for your success is that you're able to bullet and answer these 13 questions. And when we put our heads together about how to make this value add for the program and also not a burden for those of you that want to participate, Randy and I recognize that anyone with either an inclination or experience with Baldrige or Performance Excellence, or who has completed the SMPS program, would be able to very easily answer these questions. So I wanted to explain the abbreviated organizational profile. The required materials for the course are the Strategy in the 21st Century second edition. This is the one that has the crosswalk and the callouts to the Baldrige Builder, which is a synopsis, if you will, of the full Baldrige framework, as well as the most current version of the Baldrige Excellence Framework itself. We're going to reference this again a little bit later, just in a couple moments, and then also provide links to those. Randy, I think this was where we were going to talk about how this all got started, get a little bit of a history lesson. Do you want to start that?
Sure. I have to tell you, this is very exciting for Tamara and I, and Doug. Doug and I has been working with us all along as well with this. 5 years ago in 2019, I was invited to make a presentation to the Tennessee Baldrige program, and Tamara and I got acquainted there. And after the presentation, we started sitting down and discussing, very early on in the conversation, how Baldrige and strategy are very much complementary. So that began our journey. And then the first step was to put that crosswalk together. And we did 2 versions of that. which I don't know, that's a couple of years ago now, and maybe 3 years ago now. And then over the past 2 years, Tamara and I have worked together with the other contributing authors for strategy in the 21st century to really demonstrate and call out where these two frameworks come together. So we work very hard to provide an easy reference for, let's say, we're talking about doing an environmental assessment and we're talking about customers. Well, there's a call out in the right-hand column that takes you to the exact Baldrige criteria that relates to. So this has been a journey of very close collaboration. I am not a Baldrige professional. I'm not a performance excellence champion. I'm a strategy management professional who's working with a Baldrige champion to integrate these two disciplines. So that's my story, Tamara. What I miss?
I don't think you missed a thing, Randall. It has definitely opened my eyes, and I will tell you just from personal experience, because I have served as an examiner. That is true in a lot of different capacities. Actually, Jim, I served as an examiner and a judge in your in your program, the Senate Productivity and Quality Awards. I've had that experience, but where a lot of this came from wasn't my actual examiner experience. It came from being in an organization that was pursuing Baldrige and had tremendous success with that. We didn't win the national award, but we changed our organization. When I first met Randy and saw his presentation at the TNCPE conference in 2019, and then started to get to know him and the work that his organization does, I realized what a difference it would have made if our organization had been able to, number one, had a robust strategy management performance system. We had good planning, but I didn't realize what we didn't have at the time. But be able to integrate those two together, I think the organization not only would have had better results, but we would have gotten there quicker and been able to hang on to them. And so it's recognizing that need and the value of the SMPS as a Baldrige champion, where things really took off for me. Little personal anecdote there. Talk a little bit about the instructional objectives for both of the two stages. Randy, do you want to cover these since it's the SMPS?
I'll do it quickly. For those of you that have gone through the SMPS program, these are the exact same instructional objectives that you've been exposed to. For those of you who have not been through the SMPS program, we're all about kind of that intersection of theory and practice, making sure that when you leave, you can lead a whole strategy management process. We talk about the history of the program. There's a nice section in the textbook about the history. Certainly, strategic thinking is at the heart of strategy, and really focusing on how your core competencies match up with the value that's needed in the market. We have adopted over the past, probably 3 years now, an intense focus on strategic foresight as a way to prepare for the future. It's all about teams. The all-knowing leader doesn't get us very far. Aligning teams around a strategy that they work together to create is where we kind of come down. This idea of a strategy execution gap, and strategies developed and it fails. Well, a big part of that is because the operating model doesn't align with the strategy. So we have a strong focus there. Accountabilities, communications, line of sight, all of those are central to getting that alignment in place. And then my, oh my, if we aren't agile, this is not about having some linear process that we stick with day in, day out. We need a system, but we have to be able to adapt. So agility is something that we prize and focus on as a part of governing strategy. And then really trying to ensure that we don't develop a budget, then develop our strategy. I've seen that too many times. We want to make sure our purpose drives our governance drives our strategy, and strategy drives budgeting and deployment. So that's the heart of the SMPS program. Again, it's a very generic strategic management approach.
So the instructional objectives for the Performance Excellence Champion program, or the second stage, certainly is around engaging your team to be part of that performance excellence journey. And we're not talking about, yes, I support you, and I'll give you a few dollars for that, and maybe some other resources, but the kind of engagement that is very active and everyday and consistent. This is key, building resilience into your journey, your performance excellence or your Baldrige journey, integrating that with your strategy management system, because only at that point can you truly transform your organization. And a little side note here, I was having a conversation with Robin Champ, who is also LBL strategies and definitely a foresight champion and expert. I was kind of picking her brain, if you will, around change, which is one of the modules that we offer. It's around change. And she said, made the most simple statement, but it was very profound to me. And she said, remember, Tamara, strategy is about change. You don't create strategy, create an excellence program, and then, work on change management separately. It's not a project. It's not something separate. The fact that you're creating strategy and managing strategy, you are managing change itself. And that, again, simple statement, but very profound. And so that's one of the benefits, one of the key drivers, if you will, of the transformation you'll get from this program. Also building some facilitation competency, because we're going to have to, as champions, facilitate lots of discussions, lots of meetings, but we're really going to be facilitating people. We're going to be facilitating resources. So taking facilitation and facilitation competency and skills to a whole new level, incorporating best practices or best known practices in benchmarking and data collection. And then, we would not be fully equipping a champion if we did not have a module dedicated to management challenges. Because any thought-provoking organization is going to challenge what you're doing, and any human being at certain points is going to challenge the changes that you're trying to bring about. And so we will talk about how to identify those, prepare for those, mitigate those, and just help people through it. So not to avoid the changes or prevent them, but to help us all through them successfully. And then ultimately, via the custom plan, creating a roadmap that you'll use to guide your team through the journey. So let's get down to the real specifics about the program and how it's designed, what it will be like to actually participate in the program. There's a series of 10 modules. The first 9 will follow this type of cadence. There will be a learning objective, a reading assignment, a knowledge sharing component, a skills development component, and then the application of that knowledge and skills via your weekly builds of your custom plan. I'll break out each of those. We will have a reading assignment. I mentioned this before. We're going to see the covers of those books again. There'll be reading assignments in the Strategy in the 21st Century, second edition. You'll get those ahead of time in your course agendas. And then selections in the Baldrige Excellence Framework. Not so much the criteria for performance excellence, but there's a lot of other valuable material for a performance excellence champion in that framework. And prior to each module, there'll be a reading assignment from each of those books. I mentioned that there will be knowledge sharing. That knowledge sharing, anytime you have knowledge sharing in the course materials, you'll see this icon, so you'll know, incoming knowledge. That will occur through presentations and sharing. It'll occur through discussions where we'll challenge the knowledge that's presented and start to flesh it out on how it can be incorporated potentially into your organization or plan. Best practice sharing, and then what we're referring to as knowledge checks. Double checking, do we fully understand that knowledge, and do we have a sense of where it's going to come into play and how it integrates into the entire program and plan. Skills development. You'll see this icon anytime there's skills development. This will occur throughout the modules in hands-on practice during the actual weekly modules, and also through tools and templates. And then finally, the application and custom plan design. This will occur through exercises that you would do outside of class and on occasion with another colleague from the actual program. Your weekly plan builds, and I'm referring to the building of that custom plan, peer feedback from your colleagues in the program, and then one-on-one coaching from Randy and I throughout the program. So here's where I want us to ask ourselves, does it sound like something you're going to benefit from? I'd be hard pressed to be able to say no to this, but think about, do you want to be a Baldrige credentialed performance excellence champion? And if you do, or if you have any interest, we've got some information that we can share with you. Our program dates, we'll be running a pilot. And Randy, I'll let you talk about this because you're the one that's used to running programs.
Well, anytime you do something new, you best try it out before you go completely live. So we are going to offer a pilot program that's going to start on June 12th. That's a Wednesday, and we're going to meet for 10 consecutive Wednesdays between 9 and 11 a.m. Central Time. The pilot program is half price. So if any of you are interested in that, reach out to me or to Tamra, and we'll get you connected with Mary. There may be a slide for Mary coming up here, but that's the pilot where we're gonna, go out, give it a try, do the very best we can. It comes fully credentialed. Anyone that takes the pilot, the credentialing applies. So that's one opportunity. And then the first formal cohort begins on September 11th. Again, that's on Wednesdays, and we'll meet for 10 consecutive Wednesdays through November 13th. So how to get started here. If you want to register for the pilot, reach out to Mary Cummings. Mary's our financial manager, and you'll have these links in the presentation. They'll be sent to you following. So reach out to Mary. If you want to register for the first cohort, that link will take you to the registration page. The books that will be involved in the course, you'll have links to those. And then anything else about the organizational profile, Tamra?
No, just that upon registration, we'll send them the document to guide the development of their abbreviated profile. So, we've shared what we believe are important pieces of information about this program for the Baldrige Performance Excellence Champion. We're really excited about it, and certainly hope that you will see value in obtaining that certification from the Baldrige Foundation. But I think maybe we have a couple minutes, Randall, if there's any questions from anyone.
Yes. So Annika, if you could turn on people's mics and their cameras, and then we want to open this up just to see if there's any questions or feedback or anything we haven't been clear about. So please go ahead, and I'll start with you, John.
Hi, nice presentation. Thank you. I took the class, the SMPS class, back in June of 21.